Okay, now we have to go to general information and requirements for the pre-filing of application for approval of power supply agreement, simply PSA. The pre-filing of application for approval of power supply agreement (PSA) shall be conducted prior to the actual filing by the applicants of the PSAs. The schedule for the pre-filing is every Thursday and Friday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and a pre-filing checklist shall be used for this purpose. The sequence of annexes as provided in the checklist should match with the annexes indicated in the application. All copies of documents to be submitted should be clear and readable, and if any of the below listed document is alleged to be not applicable, the applicant shall provide a written justification to support the said allegation. All pleadings together with the supporting documents must be submitted in triplicate copies. In addition to the hard copies submitted, applicants are already required to at least three USB flash drive containing the electronic copies of the hard copies submitted in file format acceptable to the Commission, such as Microsoft Office, OpenOffice, etc. Here's an example. Pleadings must be in PDF, signed pleading with verification and certification against forum shopping. On my end, MS Word or Microsoft Word can be edited. Annexes, exhibit, and other device evidence. It must be in PDF. Rate computation, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel, which can be accessed and edited, include links. Okay, for the checklist of pre-filing requirements for application for approval of PSA, this is the actual example of the checklist. It has pre-filing dates, applicants, and the information that will provide in the following checklist will be considered public, except for those which are the subject of motion confidential treatment by the applicants. And compliance with the pre-filing requirements is mandatory. Acceptance of the application by the Commission will not act to prevent the same from determining whether or not the applicants have completely complied with all the procedure and substantial requirements of the Commission. Okay, we have this signature blueprint of the authorized personnel na ERTC staff, ERTC legal staff. And okay, for the part 1, legal requirements. You can see this is the required documents for this legal requirements. It must have application, original copy, signed by the authorized representative of the applicants. Notification, notarized, signed by the authorized representative of the applicants. And certificate against forum shopping must be notarized and signed by authorized representative. Board of Resolution ng Secretary Office. Okay. Then also service to LGUs certification issued by local legislative body LLB of the locality where the DU principally operates, providing that the said government body duly received by the complete copy of the application, including its annexes. Affidavit of services of the person who served the copy of the application and its annexes to the LLB, stating therein date and time of service, and if applicable, the reason why the certification was not issued by the LLB. Okay, we have to write your name of the affiant and date service and time service. Okay, 6 is publication requirements. Newspaper, volume number, issue, date publication, items included in the publication, entire application, verification, certification against forum shopping, affidavit obligation, name of the offendant, random, review of the published application, competitive selection. Okay. Number 7 is competitive selection process. Type of CSP, competitive public billing, bidding. Terms of reference TUR, date of the publication of the invitation to pre-qualify and to bid, IPQB and TUR. And also in number 7, copy newspaper issue, where the TUR was published, abstract of bids, DUBAC evaluation report, DU board resolution, secretary certificate confirming the approval of the BAC evaluation report, notice of award issued by the DU, notice to proceed issued by the DU, direct negotiation, terms of reference TOR, date of the first publication of the ITB and TOR, reason for the failure of the first CPB. Or you can write that if you see the failure. Date of the second publication of ITB and TOR, reason for the failure of the second CBP, and emergency procurement, nature and emergency, proof of notice to ARC of the operation of the emergency certification under oath that the application is filled within the 90 days from the implementation of the emergency PSA, duration of the entire CSP process. Power supply agreement, complete copy including annexes signed by duly authorized representative of the applicants, board resolution, secretary certificate authorizing the applicant's representative to sign the PSA. Number 9 is sworn statement by the directors that the GENCO has all registration, license, permit, approval, and the like necessary to meet their obligation under the PSA, as well as attesting to the accuracy of all information in the application. Okay. Part 2 is the technical requirement. Sorry. A. Letter A is the salient provision of the PSA. These are the uh, main classes done. Number 1 is the classification of suppliers, technology if applicable, installed capacity, uh, parasitic load, plant owned use, net dependable capacity, plant capacity factor, commercial operation date, term of contract, date of commencement of the supply, and contracted capacity, energy, MW per kilowatt, take and pay or take or pay arrangement as applicable, minimum energy of take, MAOT, is it reckoned monthly or a year, mode of CSP, load percentage, contracted capacity, DU, peak load, generation rate, levelized rate for the duration of the contract in PHP per kilowatt, unbundled rate if applicable. Letter B. List of existing PSAs of the applicant DU with following format. As you can see, this is the format of the list existing PSA. Um, okay, for letter C is list of existing supply agreements of the applicant's GENGO with following format. And you can see the format. Letter D. This is the type with we have annexes, required document, hard copy, soft copy, and remarks. Annex K is certification by some NPC whether transition supply contract, TSC capacity and energy is expected to be available during the contractual period. It includes relevant supporting documentation, data and analysis supporting each statement applicable for DUs that still source supply from NPC. Annex L. Justification for the PSA including analysis that demonstrate. Annex L-1. L, the one, how does this PSA contribute to overall list cost purchase for captive customers? Annex L, the 2 is what alternative were considered and the corresponding rate impact. Conventional versus RE, PSA versus DSM, existing bilateral contract, WESM. Okay. And for Annex M3, or the first one is M of refiling check list requirement. And the Annex M3, other documents supporting the forecasted demand certification from the National Electrification Administration and NEA, local government units or LGU, and or local businesses. Okay, this is some supply demand scenario. You can see the historical forecast, the year, and the current year, peak demand and W, suppliers, and we have the supplier 1 to 3, total supply, and W, and deficit and surplus. Average daily load, you can see an example of the curve, average daily load curve, last 12 months from the time of obligation. You can see that 8,000, 1 to 24 is, you can see the rate of the, I'm sorry, you can say the load of the curve, supplier 2 and the supplier 1. And this is the average daily load curve, latest billing period. And you can see that the one is the higher than the other. A deficit, and it has a supplier 2 and supplier 1. Forecast average daily load curve. Uh, it has also have a deficit, supplier 2 and supplier 1. Okay, letter E, other relevant agreements. Annex N, applicable for greenfield projects and physical contracts only. Details regarding Annex N as one transmission projects of or grid connection projects necessary to complete the proposed generation capacity. Annex N-2 and dedication of the parties that will develop and or own such facilities. Annex N-3 is any cost related to such project and a specification of the parties responsible for recovery of any costs related to such project. Transmission Services Agreement (TSA) between DU and GENCO, TSA between NGCP and GENCO. Annex N96 application for dedicated point-to-point limited transmission facility (ERC) case number. And Annex N7 is ERC decision for the point-to-point application. Okay, another one is Annex O, copy of the related agreements. Annex 01, O1 is transmission wheeling contract. Annex O2, EPA agreement. Annex O3, EPC contract. Annex O4 is O&M contract. Annex O5 is wholesale aggregator agreement, and the other one is the others for Annex O6. Okay, for letter F, generation of and power rate. Annex B, details of the PSA and the SCA rate. Annex B1, executive summary, proposed generation rates, CRF, fixed O&M, variable O&M fuel fee, as applicable based on the technology of the plant. The B is capital recovery fee, CRF, project cost, pre-tax, weighted average cost of capital, WACC, and post-tax, WACC, source of fund, life of the asset, proposed terminal value of the plant, billing determinant, and C, fixed operation and maintenance, O&M cost rate, D, variable O&M cost rate, E, plant heat rate, F is a fuel efficiency rate, G is a fuel pass-through or fuel consumption rate in kilogram for coal or 1 per kilowatt for diesel. IXP is the generation rate of and derivation. Number one is financial model containing the derivation of rates, Excel file to be required. Number two is breakdown of calculation based on the components breakdown of the base prices. Capital recovery free data, project costs, WAC, gearing rates, risk-free rates, interest rate of loan. And of course, the equity beta market premium life of the asset terminal value and of the plant computation of the terminal fixed OM and fixed cost variable OM variable and fuel free project of project costs APC contract details of cost such as operation and maintenance cost fixed and variable cost. Number four is fuel cost as applicable, fuel heat rate, fuel efficiency rate, fuel consumption rate, projection of fuel cost, and computation of the levelized fuel cost over the lifetime of the contract, including all assumptions made. Include definition, description, and basis, justification, and support of each component. Sample computation of the proposed power with the supporting documents based on the assumptions, actual information used, and the sixth is rate impact simulation on the overall rate of the applicant utility once the contract is approved, including an explanation on assumption and input parameters used in the derivation thereof. Number 7 is basis rational of indexation, including the source, reference date, and weight of indexation if applicable. Okay, for number 8, on number um, a basis rationale derivation of other charges such as testing and commissioning, replacement, startup, pre-commercial, other pass-on charges, and auxiliary costs. Annex use the cash flow specifying of the following initial cost, breakdown of operating and maintenance expenses. Annex R. All details on the procurement process of fuel including request, proposal, received tender offers, etc. Annex S is the fuel supply agreement, and the Annex D is the sworn statement detailing how the fuel was competitively procured, contract terms, unbundled price, components, product cost, transshipment, delivery, container, etc. Annex U all relevant technical and economic characteristic of the generation plant capacity. Type of technology is the installed capacity, dependable capacity, capacity factor, mode of operation, base load, peaking, intermediate peaking, auxiliary load, scheduled and unscheduled outage, basis, justification of the use, and SB is the all cost analysis related to the generation in support of the proposed pricing revision of the contract. Okay, for the Annex W, other documentation that may be needed by the ERC in the course of the evaluation such as but not limited to the following. A is the latest and complete set of audited financial statements of the generation company, balance sheet, income statement, and statement of cash flow, duly filed with the Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR, including the audit opinion, the statement of management's responsibility on the financial statements is available. Letter B is the bank certification of long-term loans. To include the following information, amortization schedule loan payments, principal, and interest, interest rates and credit terms, period, and applicable penalties. Certification from the engine manufacturer or IPP of the net heat rate initial and every after major maintenance schedule in liters per kilowatt hour. Letter D is the simulation of the number of operating units necessary to meet the MAOT and or additional energy demand requirements of the DU. Letter E is the potential cost, absolute amount, and Philippine kilowatt of auxiliary services, such as and when the IPP or the DU is connected to the main grid. And Annex X is the project timelines. Number 1 is the BOI registration. Number 2 is the DOE certification. Number 3 is RE service contract certificate of commerciality. Number 4 is long stop date, lock-in period. Number 5 is the EPC contract signing. Number 6 is notice to proceed. Number 7 is testing and commissioning. And number 8 is the target of commercial operation. Um, that's all, and thank you.